These are the humanoid robot legs that I've spent the last couple of months building and getting walking. Humanoid robots have blown up in popularity over the last few years, with them in factories, homes, and even more recently, we've started seeing them in fights. But personally, I'm not a huge fan of some of their designs, so I thought it'd be fun to build my own, one that's not only functional, but also has a cute and friendly looking design. Now, one of the most important parts of the robot is how it gets around, so in this video, I'm going to be focused on building the legs and then getting them walking. But before we get started on that, let's figure out the design. I started out by sketching out a couple designs to see which ones I liked, and eventually I came up with this one. I'm pretty happy with how it looks. One of the main goals was to make it look friendly and cute, and I think this achieves that pretty well. Now for the head, I'm not exactly sure what design I'm going to go with, but I'll worry about that later. But now that we have it designed, let's get it 3D modeled and then printed. So here's the 3D model. I'm pretty happy with how it looks. I will have a link in the description to access the files. Now for the servo motors, I will be using MG996R servos. Now I'm going into this project assuming that I will probably need to switch these out for something stronger in the future, depending on how the rest of the project turns out. However, anything stronger than these are pretty expensive, so for now I'm just going to stick with these. They should be enough to get it walking. Now that I have it assembled, I want to add some paint just to add a nice little touch. So I 3D printed the bottom of the shoes in TPU to hopefully increase traction. However, 3D printed TPU is not the best material for that, so I'm going to be switching this out for something else later on. So now that I have everything printed and assembled, I'm just going to set each servo to 90 degrees because that will be its home position. So I kind of just want to show a close-up of the robot standing. Also, it has two servos in each foot, one for roll and the other for pitch. Also, as you can see, the wires are pretty messy right now, but I do want to fix that in the future with better cable management. Getting the robot to walk by hard-coding the angles was actually a pretty simple process, and simply just required me to break down the movement into a couple simple steps. The first step is to have it sway to the side, which shifts its weight to one foot, which allows it to step without falling over. Once it lifts up the other leg, it will then sway back and put it back down. You basically then just repeat this process for the other side. So I did want to mention one issue that I had when getting this thing walking, which was the connection up here where the servos connect to the frame was actually a little bit weak, and so it allowed the servos to move. Now this is something that I fixed by simply just adjusting the angles that the upper servos move to. However, A better fix would be to connect the servos to the frame by adding a connection here and having them screw in, or by adding a blocker here which would prevent the servos from moving. Now the issue with these servos moving was that whenever I had the robot tilt to the side and then lifted this up, the leg would move to the side and hit right here, which can cause it to trip. Now this walks pretty well, but it still needs some improvements. As of right now, the movements are hard-coded. I was originally planning on using reinforcement learning, but I had a few issues with some of the programs. But that is definitely something that I want to do in the future because it will allow for it to walk on more difficult terrain rather than just on a flat surface. For now though, I'm pretty happy with how it looks and walks, but I definitely plan on upgrading it some more between now and the next update video. Now the next update video will probably either be working on the hands and the arms or torso for better management of the electronics. I will figure that out later, but other than that, I hope you guys enjoy the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.